Do these places look familiar? It is said, we take nothing but photographs, and we leave nothing but footprints. Urban exploration, the exploration of abandoned, lost, decaying, and forgotten places. Places not generally seen by the public. You don't find such things in everyday, sanitized, built-to-order life. I'm Wendy. I'm going to bring you on a little history journey, and this is Hidden Hustles. I'm excited. I'm going to meet with Stanley and Amanda, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Singapore's history through abandoned buildings. So,
when people talk about present-day Woodlands, right? I mean, you usually think like just a causeway point, you know, it's near the Malaysia. But I think what many people don't know is that it's rich in history. Today, the site that you're standing on, do you have any idea like what?
I have. I was like researching. It was the first time I knew that Singapore actually held refugees.
If you go further down a bit, there's actually a road that's called Hawkins Road. And this Hawkins Road basically no longer exists. If you try and search for it on Google Maps whatsoever,
Can't find anything.
Any trace of it is completely wiped off.
Back in 1975, there's fall of Saigon. The South Vietnamese fled Vietnam towards all parts of Southeast Asia.
About 200 to 400,000 of these South Vietnamese actually perished at sea.
From starvation, attack of pirates. Out at sea, bigger commercial boats brought them to shore. The government said, sure, we have to set up a temporary site. And where's the temporary site? Here.
Yeah. Right.
This entire area is what this used to be. Completely unrecognizable. If you look around, you just see massive trees and everything. You won't even be able to tell.
Yep. So this is actually the bunker where we are at now, which is actually this bunker behind us.
Oh, it's so dark. Damn, so many geckos.
So all these, are the Japanese cloud wave patterns that are quite interesting. This is actually called a tailless whip scorpion. It looks like someone, making a circle, want to do like some ritual or something like that.
You look at it, there's a doll there.
This property was used as a drug rehabilitation center. Ever since Changi Prison was constructed, the inmates were actually moved from here to Changi in 2018.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And why do y'all feel like the need to explore Singapore in second hand?
We enjoy history, we enjoy the adventure element in terms of exploring. Textbooks mainly you learn the overview. When you have that sort of like interest, that's how you actually uncover the underbelly of Singapore.
Right.
Yeah, beyond its sort of manicured facade.
And what got y'all started?
After secondary school, I'm just I like to wander around. There's also a little bit of a charm in going to some place that nobody knows or nobody can find you.
I also used to love photography as well. However, everyone was taking the same photos, so I thought actually there's quite a few buildings that nobody really knows about. I wanted people to kind of think when they see my photos like, oh my god, you mean this is in Singapore?
Alright, so right now we are walking towards Marsiling Bunkers, and there's this guide called Eugene who is going to be sharing a little bit about the supernatural heritage of Singapore. There is like a whole shrine of like deities at the front, so yeah, we'll see.
So Wendy, this is my favorite stretch along this walk. You'll see a lot of shrines here with a lot of different gods all along this stretch. Now you'll be wondering, what's this stretch about and why are the gods over here? Because back then, this entire area on our right side was kampong. So when the kampong shifted out, they needed a place to place the gods, but they didn't want to rehouse the gods to different temples and all that. So what they did was, they bring the gods out to this stretch.
Why is it like important to like know of this?
I think the importance of the deities here, for me at least, religious aspect aside, is more of culture. It's really to identify and imagine what life was like for our forefathers living in kampong.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay. Whoa. Gosh.
Okay, so this place only became a little bit more well known in 2000s, but actually it was already rediscovered about a couple decades ago. As urban explorers, the reason why we are not really a fan of disclosing information such as where these locations are is because people may come here to vandalize, to steal. It's really quite disrespectful because all these are so many decades years old, but yet they are so disrespectful to the place.
Can you guys smell a bit of like oil kind of smell?
One thing to consider is also like the legality of like things, right?
There's a lot of grey area, I would say. Yeah, so I mean, which is why we are also trying to work with the government to try and see whether we can bring people to some of these defunct places or just spaces that have not been in use for quite some time.
Oh, okay. Oh. Don't touch the thing. Whatever this is.
What happened is that?
No idea, don't want to find out. You guys are talking about how Singapore is pretty manicured. Like when tourists come, there's a certain picture of Singapore that they have, which is also part of Singapore. But it's I like what you mentioned, like beauty in the abandoned, beauty in the blemish.
Yeah. Like the paint peeling off from the walls, or maybe the cracks that's showing. It shows the years and that this building has actually stood the test of time. So that is why I find it so it's a bit mysterious and beautiful.
It's also kind of similar for like our wedding. I still recall when we were asking the authorities whether we could use Old Changi Hospital for our wedding venue.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so initially they were like, oh, I mean, no, but we can perhaps let you guys use those, like colonial buildings at Rochester. But then we were like, oh no, it's too nice, it's too white, it's too nicely done up. We want something which has like algae on the walls and everything is like collapsing and falling apart. Then basically the guy was just like, I mean, I have a certain place in mind, but I don't think you guys would like it. There's no electricity, no toilets, no water. And before he could even finish his sentence, we were like, oh yes, we want that. Yeah. So that's one of the places that we actually managed to get access to for our future tours. And we're really looking forward to bringing people there in the future as well.
That's so, you guys are one of a kind. I will say that, y'all are one of a kind. What is your take on losing all these places to urbanization?
I think definitely, in landscape Singapore, I would say it's inevitable. It's really just a matter of time. Sooner or later, these places would become, our BTOs. I'm of the view of conserving at least a part of it, so the history isn't really like washed away.
Right. Then all the more, I would say these tours or these chances you get to visit these places are quite precious.
It's kind of like racing against the clock,
So we're done with the Marsiling Bunkers tour, and I get the appeal. I get why people are enamored with these sites of disuse and decay, because I'm the same way as well. I love to explore all these places that are not often explored. It seems the appeal lies in the reminders of human existence, rooms, buildings, and even whole towns frozen in time, a snapshot of the past. And the next tour will take us to Changi. So if you're ready,